Let's just have a look now, new page or new subheading here, body paragraph analysis. Now that we've looked at all the key features of context, of form, of the plot, of the key ideas, we're now going to build the essay, okay? So with the analysis, we're going to go through body paragraph by body paragraph, as I said. When we do our analysis, this is the structure I want you to follow for all of them, right? It doesn't have to necessarily be in this order, but this is how you approach it, right? I'm giving you a very basic example to show you how I approach it. Imagine you had a quote, "He was as scared as a cat," right? Super basic example. What I want to do is, when I put the sentence together for the first time, so this is not the final version of the sentence, I want to identify the technique. I want to use it only as much of the quote as I need. I then want the verb, like reveals. So spiced, S is for suggests, P is for portrays, I is for illustrates, C is for conveys, E is for emphasizes, D is for demonstrates or depicts. I mean, you can make other ones work there. There's actually like 100 verbs you could use, but there's a good go-to. 6, don't use the verb shows or displays, okay? I don't want to see that anywhere in your essay. Use the one that's most appropriate, and then the effect, this is the most important part of the sentence, really. After you identify the technique and use a meaningful quote, reveals the extent to which he was afraid. Now, that's where you need to nail it. How do you nail the effect? What's the most important word in that effect that you can see there? So does everyone see afraid is the most important word because there's a direct link to the quote that we're analyzing. The simile in "he was as scared as a cat," when you're going to explain that, you want to make sure that there is a word or a phrase that directly relates to the content of the quote or the nature of the technique. Are you all with me on that? So a very basic example to show you that the most important pairing of words there is scared and afraid. If you don't have a word that I can see is clearly related, at least, to something from the technique or the quote, then it's not a very good effect because you haven't specifically analyzed that evidence. Like, a lot of people do generic explanations like, "Oh, this reveals the extent of his emotions," or something like that. It's like, why? You need to use a word that I can see. Oh, that came from that word in the quote. It doesn't always have to be a direct synonym, although that's a pretty good go-to technique or strategy. But what it can also be is something that clearly is derived from the essence of the quote, okay? It's got to be clear enough to the marker, because if they can see that link, whether it's conscious or subconscious, they're probably thinking that's a good analysis, right? Because it is direct to the point on that evidence. So you need to make sure when you're writing them out today, you always have that one word or phrase that you can point to. And having that word or phrase, I would think about that first, because having that allows you to write the rest of the sentence more easily because you know what you're kind of centering it around, and then you can play around with it.